Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to share with you different things you can consider when trying to select a law enforcement agency to work for. I know that when I was young and looking for a law enforcement agency to work for, I really had no idea what to look for. I did know I wanted to work for a large jurisdiction, so I basically just picked different areas off the top of my head that were big, researched those departments and how to apply for them, and put my applications in. If I were a young person again, looking to do this, there's definitely different things that I would look at to see if this is really an agency that I want to work for, and I'm going to share these with you in this video. The first thing I would suggest that you do is Google the law enforcement agency that you're considering. See what kind of information is available about them online, and also take a look at their website, their social media. Are they active in the community? Do they have different units? What do they have to offer you as the employee? And I am very biased toward larger agencies because I've seen myself through my career. There's so many opportunities and different places that you can work in a larger agency. Also, do some research and see, is this area or jurisdiction somewhere that has tried to defund the police? Is it somewhere where the police are currently defunded? These can definitely have an impact on whether you should choose to work for that agency or not. You can find different accounts on social media that report their news in that area, but check those out and see what they're saying about that department and what they're saying about that area in general. Another thing I would consider when looking at a law enforcement agency is what kind of benefits can they give you? How much is their salary? How much are they actually going to be paying you? How much are you going to be paying into a 401k or a pension program? How much are you actually going to be taking home? Do they offer life insurance benefits? Do they offer health insurance benefits? Not only that, but how much will they cost you? How much are your co-pays? How much are out-of-pocket maximums? You may have an agency that pays you an extremely high salary, but you're also paying extremely high amounts into your 401 or very high amounts for basic benefits. These are all things you need to take into consideration. Another thing to consider if you have a 401 option is, what is the employer putting into that? How much are they paying into it? How much are you paying into it? What's the maximum on that? These are important things to consider because they're going to affect your take-home pay, which is what you're going to have to pay for your life essentially. I would also be cautious when an agency offers a large sign-on bonus. What is the reason for this? Are they just that desperate to have people come in? Why don't they already have people working there? Some agencies that are having very serious recruitment issues are offering this. But what is the reason for it? How many officers are they short? Why are they having trouble keeping officers there? Also with sign-on bonuses, they'll usually require you to stay a certain amount of years, or you'll have to give that money back or give a portion of it back. But you definitely need to research how long they're expecting you to stay. And this is probably going to be in some kind of paperwork they're gonna have you sign. They may throw it in front of you and expect you to sign it really quickly, but read really carefully into it. It could also be part of the application packet. So make sure you understand, especially with sign-on bonuses, how much time they're requiring of you to stay, and also what you'd be responsible for paying back if you decided to leave that agency before that time. Another thing I would consider when looking at a police agency is, do they have civil service protected positions for their permanent employees? This is extremely important for law enforcement, as these civil service protected positions have a procedure in place for any kind of adverse action or termination of a permanent employee. And you might say, why do I care about this? Why should I consider this? Typically with civil service protected positions, there is an investigative process that is in place if you are going to proceed with an adverse action against an employee or a termination. They cannot just wake up one morning and decide, you know what, I don't like Officer Smith, and today we're gonna fire Officer Smith. Or there can't just be a situation in which something bad publicly happened with Officer Smith and we're not going to investigate it. We're not going to do any of that. We're just going to terminate that employee. That will not fly with a civil service protected position. It can still happen, and that's the kind of tricky thing with it. So even if you're looking at an agency where you've seen this happen in the agency, I know I have seen it happen many, many times. Even with civil service protected positions, there are times when that process is not followed. However, that is not a good thing because it opens up that agency and jurisdiction to civil responsibility for what they have done. So an employee can fight for their job back. They can sue that agency for not following the process. So again, I would be looking for an agency that offers civil service protected permanent positions. Depending on what you want to do in your law enforcement career, you could also look for agencies that have a variety of assignment options and a variety of ranks, and find out what you need to do to get to that next rank. Is it an appointed position? Do you have to be selected for it? Or is there a promotional process in place for a position that doesn't involve an appointment? You could also take a look at how many years it takes to promote to different positions. Are you going to have to give a 3-year commitment to an agency, or a 5-year commitment, or a 10-year commitment? Find out what's required, and that can help you make a decision as well. Another thing I would suggest you do is do a ride along with the agencies that you're interested in. Find out what their typical day is. Find out what their typical call volume is. If they ask if you want to do a ride along in a nicer area or a not so nice area, go with the not so nice area. Find out what you would actually be doing as a patrol officer in that agency. And when you're there, talk to the officer. Ask them questions. Ask them more about the police department. Ask them if they like being there. And then if you're also exposed to other officers, see how they interact with each other. Do they work as a team? Do they enjoy working with each other? Or is everyone just alone and by themselves? These are important things to consider because you want to see what kind of police culture or law enforcement culture that you want to be a part of. Not every agency is super connected and has great relationships. Just depends on where you go. Another thing to look at with agencies is, do they have regular or rotating shifts? Are you doing 12-hour shifts, 10-hour shifts, 8-hour shifts? How many days are you working a week? Are you working 4 days on, 3 days off, 5 days on, 4 days off? I don't know. There's all kinds of different shifts that agencies work. Do you have regular off days? Will you ever have regular off days? Will you ever have a weekend day off? If you're on the rotating schedule, that's something you can look at too. You might have every other weekend off. It just depends. And then you can kind of gauge what you want depending on what they offer. I would look to see if an agency had an internal police chief or commissioner or whatever that head position is within that department. One thing I always wonder when I see agencies with outside chiefs is, why are you not able to create and develop that kind of an individual within your own department? That could say something about advancements in that agency. Are they not able to provide the training and the tools and the mentorship that's necessary for you to get to that next level? And if they don't, I would at least consider it, because what's going on in that agency if they're not able to cultivate and train a leader from within? That should kind of be part of what people coming into your agency are aspiring to do. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with that department. Maybe there is logical reasoning for them bringing in outside leadership. Maybe they want to make some changes, or maybe they've seen what this person has done at another department and they want to implement that in their own department. I hope this list was helpful for you, and it could also help you in possibly selecting the perfect agency for you. But another thing I would stress is that even if you select an agency, you go there, you decide it's not the one for you, there are plenty of law enforcement agencies, especially now, who are hiring and who will most likely consider you for a position. Thank you guys so much for watching. If there's anything that I didn't bring up that you think is important, I could probably do a part 2 to this video with even more things. Tell me about it down below in the comments. I'd like everyone to use this as a resource and a tool. What my ideas and experience bring are not necessarily what everybody else is thinking or what everyone else values. I like to bring these things up and talk about them because people do have questions about this, or they're considering applying with agencies and they really don't know which one to pick or don't even know where to start out. As always, y'all stay safe out there, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Another thing I would consider when working, no, not working yet, we're still thinking, service code, their sources or your